It is time for part two of the ultimate note-taking app tier list. That is much harder to say than I thought it would be, but we are jumping into this part two. If you haven't watched part one already, I will link it somewhere like up here somewhere, and I will also link it down in the description. So check that out first. But we are going to start off with actually, let's start off with Constella because in this part or episode, I'm going to call it part, but in this part, we will focus on AI applications, applications that rely really heavily on AI because we have a few of them. And Constella is one of them. This is a visual note-taking app similar to something like Heptabase. And the point of this application, the point of Constella, is to actually help connect the dots for you. The idea is that you take a lot of notes and AI will help you connect different things together and find insights that you would not otherwise be able to find. Most of the applications here I have tested out on all platforms, so Android, iOS, uh, Mac OS, and Windows. This I've actually only tested on Windows, and that is not a benefit for this application because the Windows version is not too good. There are a few bugs, and this it is a little unfair because this is at a really early stage, but there are a lot of bugs. I think the idea is amazing. I really like the idea of this application, but I think a lot of things needs to improve before it is a viable like note-taking choice, at least on the Windows version. However, the idea is really, really good and it is still at an early stage. So I will unfortunately have to put it in E tier, but this is an application that I think will continue to develop, and I think next year it will be around A or B tier if they are able to develop it in the right direction. When we're talking about AI applications and visual note-taking apps, it is hard to avoid Mymind. Mymind is an amazing, like, note-taking productivity application. It also does like to-do lists, but the point here is that you can easily capture using the Mymind extension, and I've done this with Safari as well, just clicking share on my mobile and sending it to the Mymind application. It does an amazing job at tagging that for you, and you will never actually have to do any of that yourself, any of the organization that is yourself. So Mymind does everything for you. The issue is that there is no real organization. Like the way this works is that you have to search for things. So let's say I have an article about AI. I can do a deep search where I first write article, press enter, then I write AI, press enter, and it will find it. I've never had the issue of not finding something inside of Mymind, but it is still an issue not having like real organization. It has something called spaces and smart spaces, which works, but it is far from perfect if you're used to having things like folders and backlinkings and things like that. This application does not have any of that. It relies on search. I personally really love Mymind. It is one of my favorite applications, but I think for most people, especially if you're not a designer or an artist, I think artists also would benefit from something like this. Then Mymind probably isn't something most people would use. I think most people struggle a little bit with this because it looks like Pinterest. That is the whole UI of it. But in general, I think it is a really good application. I just do not think that it is for everyone. You have to be really a visual thinker and save a lot of images for this to be worth it. So I am going to place it in B tier because I think the application is really good. Like it is better than Sublime. It is better than all of these applications right here. It could probably be at the level of something like I think I will move it to A tier. I think is at the level of twos and ample notes, probably uh, even like here a little bit better. So between A and S, but I am going to give it an A tier when I actually think about it. We talked about, let's go back here. We talked about Constella earlier. Napkin is the same thing, but a little bit different. This is sort of a note-taking app, but I would define it more as a place for idea capture. So here you can have a lot of ideas inside of this application, and AI will actually help you connect different things together. Once you click on one note, it will actually bring all of the notes related to that note. It will tag things for you, just like Mymind does. So I really like the idea of this. It doesn't have the bugs that Constella has. It works really great, but I think the development of this has been a little slow. I would honestly think that they would be further along by now. But the application does what it is supposed to. They have been focusing more on the mobile experience, the iOS experience, and I like that a lot. A place for you to capture ideas and revisit them. So not much more to say about it. I think it is a B tier application, but it isn't a fully fledged note-taking app. Uh, I would call it more of an like idea capture application. That is probably what I would call it. Next up, we have Voicenotes AI, and Voicenotes AI is actually an application I've used a lot myself. I purchased the lifetime plan for this, and I have been using it a lot ever since. Not every day, but I use it for like really specific use cases. This application actually has it has a lot of AI inside of it. It has AI to help you transcribe the things you are saying. It has AI chat as well. So just like Mem has an AI chat, this has it as well. It has a timeline view when it comes to your notes, so a chronological timeline of your notes, but you can also create notes within notes. It is called threads, and they work really similarly to Twitter threads. This also actually works quite well with images. One like huge issue I have with this is that there is no easy way to take written notes inside of here. What you can do is to turn on your microphone for 1 second, turn it off again, and it will allow you to go into that transcription and start writing in there. But I think that it is a couple too many clicks for this to be like a good note-taking app. But I think it is good enough to be like B tier for what it is, and that is a voiced notes application. I think it does a good job. I think it is at the level of something like Napkin, so I am going to place it there. The last like huge AI application, or there are actually two left, I'm going to cover. So, second to last is actually called Fabric, and Fabric is sort of like Mymind. It is a place for you um, to take a lot of notes and just put them inside of the application, and AI will do the job for you. This works for notes, it works for images. This also actually has an AI chat, which Mymind does not have. So that is something I like. It is also at a really early stage, so it isn't as beautifully designed as something like Mymind. Mymind is one of the most beautiful applications I have scene. I think it looks really, really good. While Fabric doesn't look as good, it has a lot of the same feature sets. It lacks a little bit with the AI chat. I've had a couple of issues with it, so there are some small bugs, but this is at a really early stage. I still think that as of right now, it falls short and ends up in a C tier, probably between C and B, but I am going to put it in C tier because I think it isn't as good as voice notes yet or Napkin, but I think it most definitely can be, especially with the feature that is called similar, which shows you like similar notes to the one you're on. Mymind has the same things, just for images. Voice notes actually has the same thing as well for your notes. So I think this one can quickly become A tier. My guess is that already next year this will probably be up here if they keep on developing it, but it is always hard to say exactly where an application will end up. The last like huge AI application is Tana, and Tana is a pure outliner. By the time I'm filming this, the mobile application is already out. I haven't been able to test it extensively. It is still in early access, I think. I'm not sure by the time this video will be out, but we at least have a fully fledged mobile application, which has been one of the biggest issues. I think that Tana has one of the coolest applications on this list. I think Tana has a lot of great ideas. It is an outliner that uses a lot of AI. So it has a meeting assistant, it has a bunch of other stuff that I think people will really enjoy when it comes to AI. It also has AI chat. And it is doing an amazing job around AI. It is also object based, which works great with AI. It is at a really early stage. There is no Android application yet. There is only an iOS application. So that drags it down a little bit. But the idea here is really cool. I think this is going to be one of the applications that is up here and competing with the likes of Obsidian and Heptabase. But as of right now, especially because it lacks the Android application, I am going to put it in B tier. I would say that it is probably a little bit better than Audio Notes and Napkin, but it is not to the level of the applications up here, probably. That is how I'm thinking about it. And one of the main reasons is the lack of an Android application. In my eyes, it is really important to be available on all devices, or strictly say that, like Reflect does, we are not for people who use Android phones. If Tana would say that, I would probably drag it up in A tier, but as long as your goal is to be on every platform, you should actually be on every platform. That is at least how I'm thinking about it. But like, if you just take the features, this would probably be up here, but I am putting it down here right now until they have an Android application. This is also one of the applications I think like next year it will be maybe in 1.5 years, it will be up here in S tier, but the application is really, really good. The last application I'm going to cover in this part, I think I might be ending up having to do 4 parts of this, but the last application is going to be Craft. And Craft is, I may be biased since I purchased the yearly plan with the like lifetime 50% off offer. But I think with the addition of collections and task management, I have found myself using this for a lot more things every single day. The task management is amazing inside of this application. I really like the collections as well, but what I like the most about it is how it works on how it works on the phone, on the iOS device I'm using on my iPhone, and it is also works really good on Mac. It has a Windows app actually. I haven't used that a lot. I use the web version mostly when I'm on Windows. But again, this one is a little harder because uh, it is an S tier application. It lacks an Android app. They have said that it will come someday, but Android and even Windows hasn't been a priority. Windows has become a little bit more of a priority, but Android has never been a priority. They are the best place to take notes for iOS devices and Mac OS devices, and that is what this application is. So I was considering putting it at A, but honestly, with the addition of collections and the fact that they are open about being an Apple first application, just like Reflect, I think it deserves to be up here. I think that at some point they will come out with an Android application because I think that this application will, I think Craft will become so big that it will be available on all of the major devices. But as of right now, there isn't an Android app. But I am totally in love with the application. It looks really beautiful. It feels really good to use, and it is one of the best experiences I've had with databases or collections on a mobile device. Like, it really feels native on the mobile device as well, which isn't the case for the likes of Notion or even Anytype or even Microsoft Loop. Is a little bit hard to work on the databases when you're on the phone. So I am going to give this S tier, but again, I am really biased towards this because this is the one I've been using for a little bit of time now, and I've planned all of my Christmas videos or these end of year videos in Craft. So probably a little biased, but that covers it for part two. There will be two more parts. I can see that there are way too many note taking apps for me to just take one last part, so I will do this in two more parts. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them down below and I will try to get to them as soon as I can. Thank you so much for watching today's video.